it's a tapeworm, in that sense, just keeps growing. So.
Yeah. Good tip.
A good tapeworm. Good tapeworm. One of the things that we developed into was shooting in black and white. That strips away a lot of, for lack of a better word, distraction.
These films are like gauntlets. They're marathons.
Yeah.
I call it like you have to have like urgent zen.
Yeah.
If you by chance woke up and thought, gosh, I need to read a graphic novel, a hand-drawn one at that, but didn't know where to look, well, you're in luck, because today, available now at samwolf.net, is my book, Wolf's Edge, a graphic novel that happens to be entirely hand-drawn. You can have it yourself and satisfy all those cravings today by going to samwolf.net for high quality, thrilling, and human-made entertainment. Now, please enjoy our podcast today, Wolf Pack Podcast, sponsored by Wolf's Edge.
Jamal and Alejandro.
Yes.
Welcome to Wolfpack Podcast. Thanks for joining us. We're in the library. Super cool.
We are. It's a very nice one too.
I agree.
Yeah.
Beautiful library.
Yeah, I might do more podcasts here in the future.
Deep in the heart of East Texas or Austin.
Yeah, East Austin. Yeah, we're in East Austin.
Okay. Yeah.
Y'all are fellow creatives.
Yes.
Fellow creatives. Big focus on the podcast is getting Austin people and find out what they're doing. And I met you, Jamal, at the AFS Cinema.
Yeah,
It's awesome. And you know Marty Jones as well.
I know Marty Jones. Marty Jones is also a mentor to Alejandro. A very, very great guy, cool guy to know.
Yeah.
We were there for a premiere for a good friend of ours, a mutual friend, and that's how you and I met. And I thought it'd be a great idea to get us all in this project because that friend of ours, Tolawani, is also in the project we're talking about.
Yeah.
So I thought this would be a good opportunity to, support each other. That was I think a lot of the intention of going to AFS and having everybody kind of intermingle. We see one project and everybody talks about what else they got going on and everybody's excited about it.
Yeah, I love AFS. And for people that don't know, AFS is Austin Film Society Cinema. It's a independent theater founded by Richard Linklater, and they host screenings like After Void, and then they have they play classic films, they play new indie films, but they play local films as well. That my documentary premiered there as well a couple of years ago, and then they have these sort of social aspects where you can mingle and meet, and those are the best.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a dozen awesome conversations with new people, including yourself.
Yeah. Thank you. So I'm very excited to be here, and thank you for having us. Alejandro is, I think this is going to be the perfect opportunity. This is like our first podcast. So it's our first opportunity talking about this story that we have in this format. So I think that I hope and I know that we're going to have a great conversation.
No, I know already. Well, we were having great conversation before the camera.
Yeah.
All right. This is good. This is going to be good. But so I watched the teaser for Airport Boulevard, and that's your feature film.
Yes.
And it's shot, partially shot, finished. Where is the?
We are, let's say, about 75% of the way through. So we have our last little hump to get through.
I was really impressed. I watched the teaser a few times.
Thank you.
I was getting very Manhattan vibes. I love black and white with the music, but showing a city. It seems like you're telling a story, and we're gonna get into the story, but just visually making the city of Austin like a character. And then the movie Manhattan, Woody Allen does that with New York, black and white with cool music, characters and story aside, almost like postcards of the city. And I love that style. So good job, just in what I've seen of 4 minutes. Super cool. I'm in.
Yeah.
And is it a musical?
It's jazz influenced, I'd say.
love that.
So I wouldn't necessarily say that we're song and dancing in that way, but I do think that music and jazz play an important part in the movie. And so it's as much of a piece to the film as kind of everything else is.
So tell me about the story and how it came about and
Yeah, so I
how
mean,
you guys met. Also, like, or maybe that's a separate conversation.
no, we met on we met at you auditioned. That's what it was for like a project we did
Yes.
many years ago.
We have another mutual friend in Austin, Tika Cook. I want to throw her name out there.
Shout out
She's
Tika. I
fantastic.
gotta text you back. I'm sorry.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, you should have her on the pod.
I would love to.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah.
We I forgot how I met her initially, but I think it was just through auditioning. She sent me this thing for a character who's on the page, the character's name I think was just Xavier. And I didn't know a whole lot about it. So I actually jumped it's a long story, but I got to the audition and I was not supposed to be there. And so I just hung out until like they had some time at the end, and then they happened to want to see me, and Alejandro was casting for a short film. So I went in and I did my audition and a little bit of a screen test with my scene partner, and then after that I just let it go. But I was like, Tika's a great person to know. It seems like a cool story, and I think it's also important that I really wanted to participate in stories that were people are writing stories with Black characters in them and in more complex ways than just like, I don't know, what I think people might call stereotypical or whatever. I felt like the stories that I was being asked to be a part of were really cool and creative and interesting and new things that maybe I hadn't seen coming out of this city so far. And so when I did that audition, I let it go. Alejandro called me back. We ended up doing the film together. It was a great experience. Did a small festival run here in town. We were nominated for a bunch of awards, won an award.
Best acting is what you won.
Which was, yes, at Austin Spotlight Film Festival. It was a couple years ago, but it was, I think that whole experience felt like one big, like, I don't know, dream. The film is a bit of a dreamscape kind of film. So when we shot it, I was like, all right, it's the middle of the night. We're running on fumes trying to get this thing done. Then you get nominated. You're like, woo, nominated. Then I won the award, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, completely unexpected. But that's how we met. And we kind of agreed on similar narrative visions when we were making that project. And he kind of had that project as a proof of concept for what is now Airport Boulevard, the feature. So that's kind of how that got started. And it's been, like 2 years straight of just consistent work.
So I'd say that the project was conceptualized around COVID, of course, and when everyone had nothing to do. I would just go to Austin and kind of just film the downtown cityscape at the time. Didn't really know or had a purpose why, but I just kept the footage for a long time. And I started writing this project. It was just kind of like a love story that was just a basic will they, won't they. And as the story kind of grew, Austin was going through a massive change as well. And so there was this weird synergy with, telling a story about relationships and the change and the growth of a story, juxtaposed to the destruction of place and space, and kind of questioning our perception of the place that we live or the memories that we have or we hold in these places. And so when we started in, I think, 2022, 23.
Of which film?
The first project.
It was
so the
2023.
Okay.
Yeah.
Years are gone.
Yeah, I know.
But when we started in 23, I think it was just trying to understand that was just like how do we tell a story about love in place, and how do we keep the memories in this place, and from there just kept shooting Austin, and the change and the change of place became much more apparent and present, and it just became something that not only was something we were, passively watching, but we're becoming active participants in, whether it was, being priced out of places or watching friends be priced out, or people, you know, homes being destroyed,
Right.
things like that. It was just kind of became this, I guess, like this elephant in the room, right? Of just like, what is happening? Where are people going? And why is the thing that I loved disappearing?
Are you
And,
talking about all the construction happening?
Right.
With the like gentrification?
right. Yeah.
Right.
And it, you know,
You know, destruction of old classic neighborhoods.
Yeah.
For fancy, you know,
Yeah.
soda sopa.
right.
You
Yeah. So I mean, I think what's interesting about gentrification or in that process is that like it's yes, it's in some sense it's erasing in buildings and building these high rises and pricing people out, but it's also the destruction or degradation of culture. And so I think when I moved here, the Keep Austin Weird movement was fleeting, but it was still something people held on preciously to. And after 2020, I mean, it just became like a T-shirt. It is if the whole thing kind of just up and left. And I feel like it's, you know, we have people in places trying to keep the movement going, but it just to see the way that like the energy of Austin is changing and shifted, and it's shifted in a way that leaves the original Austinites, you know, upset, angry, frustrated, and like they don't belong. And so I think that, you know, telling a story like Airport Boulevard was crucial to kind of capture that energy of like, how do you love a place that's rejecting you? How do you love a place that is changing in a way that you didn't know it was supposed to change or didn't know it could change, didn't know? You know, we shot at Stars Cafe. It's been a restaurant since the 1950s of Austin, and we watched it get destroyed. And, you know, and so it's stuff like that, you know, when you move here for the first time, you know, somebody like me, it's just like a transplant, you know, you have no context of these things. But, you know, to know the context of these things is to just kind of be in the state of like, what is going on? What is happening to my city? And so, yeah, it's just been trying to understand that and tell that into a narrative has been kind of been the goal since we started. I guess since about 2024, since we started the feature actually.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the mindset of us going into it, is just trying to capture that this moment, this story. And so
Yeah. So it's this love story with a backdrop of destruction and rejection.
Yeah.
As the city seems like a character.
Right.
It's actually called Airport Boulevard, which is part of the city.
Yes, yeah. Which is because if you drive down Airport Boulevard, I mean, you see that change in the city. Like whether you from going from Cesar Chavez to North Lamar, I mean, you're gonna watch the literal process of gentrification from every stop. And
Yeah.
so
So tell me more about Airport Boulevard. What did you learn about it, and why did you make it the focus?
well, I think you know, there's a few reasons why Airport Boulevard is kind of the title that we ended up going with, but you know, it's one of the oldest streets in Austin. I mean, it was the one that literally connected people to the airport for a very long time, and you know, when you look at, you know, old historical photos, you can see kind of this image of Austin, and then there's just this long strip of road that's just off to the side, you know, so far away from the downtown area of the city, but it was such a transit road used very frequently, and so sorry, but I think the reason why I wanted it to be titled that is because I feel like it's such an integral piece of just trying to contextualize like where's everything going, because everything that really you know, the people that have been most deeply affected by the, you know, process of gentrification here are the East Austinites. It's everybody east of I-35 and west of Airport Boulevard, in my opinion, that, you know, are seeing the biggest you know, economic disparity and you know, displacements. And so it's just, you know, being able to tell a story that kind of contains itself within that city, that portion of Austin, I think is a very crucial thing, because there's so many incredible movies that have been made here, whether it's Slacker, Boyhood, Tree of Life, Song to Song, many other movies. We don't see that part of Austin being told in those stories. And I don't necessarily think it's their objective in any of those movies or their purpose for doing it. But, you know, it's ours. And I think that, you know, for us, it's been impossible for us to tell a Black love story without talking about the love of East Austin. So I think that's kind of been the main focus and priority, is just trying to articulate that story, you know. And I think that articulating in a way that isn't just, you know, a, a story of tragedy. It should be a story of resiliency and perseverance. There's love and loss, but there's also this heartbeat of East Austin that still exists. And, you know, you could talk about, you know, the displacements and, you know, Eureka holding, you know, 70% of the land over there. But, you know, there are people that still live there. There are still memories being made in East Austin. And it's important that those people aren't forgotten or lost in the process, you know. And so it's not too late, right? This has been a thing that's been going on since I think the 90s or something like that. And so it's, you know, we're well into this process, but you know, there's still work being done, and there's still work to be done. And so,
Yeah, it's amazing this cycle of, you know, America's very good at it, is like cleaning up, or, you know, sterilizing. Like I've been lucky enough to like travel to India, where like it's the same. You know, the communities, the cities, like, you know, there's things that are thousands of years old, and just like that the culture. It's very, the idea of like, you know, knocking down Indian cities and making them like, you know, modern complexes seems bizarre. Like I'm sure it happens somewhere, but just this idea of like how we're so accustomed to, well, it's time to update, so we'll just buy all this land here and knock it down and invite new people to come. It's kind of crazy. Like, I don't know.
I think it's hard to preserve culture in that environment, you know. And it's like, you know, I think one of the big staples of Austin for, you know, especially when I moved here, was Graffiti Park, for example. And, you know, when I came here, it was like the talk. It was the place that people went to express themselves, to paint, to spray paint, to just kind of hang out, smoke weed, do whatever they wanted to do. But it was like this designated communal space for people to go to. And, you know, in my brain, or in a brain of, in my head of a government that works for community, you would preserve a place like that. You create a landmark, you do things to make sure that you cultivate a space for people to express themselves, instead of selling it off and then making a high rise that no one's going to live in, which is what they ended up doing. And then they say, but you can then paint all your things over here 50 miles away, right? And it's like, that's, you know, literally not the same.
Fine.
Right. You can't really tell people where to do these things, right? So
Well, it's also like this, like in our culture, we're constantly trying to blunt extremes.
yeah,
And that is like extremes of pain.
yeah,
That's probably good. Like, we're kind of just, you know, almost like sterilizing. It's sort of almost like to be safe.
yeah,
But in doing so, you like soften the edges of a society to make it more comfortable, I guess. But like, you lose something. Like, you go, I'm not to bring up India again, but like, that is a place of extremes. It is like extreme everything. Extreme beauty, extreme smells, extreme chaos, extreme poverty, whatever. And the wealthy are extreme rich. Like, it's extreme, extreme, extreme. And then you drive through American cities, even like New York, which is one of our most extreme cities. It's like nothing compared to some of these mega cities across the world. It's kind of interesting how, I don't know where I'm going with that.
I think the point though of like, you know, I can't speak for other countries either, but like, I do think it is uniquely American, the problem that we experience. I think in the sense of the impermanence of city, you know, and that's what you're talking about. Like, there's this inability to actually cultivate certain things. And there are pockets in America where that exists, you know, places like New York or San Francisco, even, where no new buildings will be built. But, you know, I do think that like the process of gentrification, though, I mean, like it is something that is pervasive through the entirety of America, and particularly through the southern states. And I think that, you know, the southern states have been the last, in many respects, the last to, I would say, update in the way that like you would see like in New York, for example, or in San Francisco. But you know, seeing it in places like Austin, I go back home to Orlando. They're doing it in Orlando now, you know, in the same way. And when I was growing up, I don't remember that. You know, granted, I was, you know, 12 or 13, 14, whatever. But you know, I knew construction as we cut down trees and we have to save the trees. You know, and in Austin, I was talking to my friend, great friend Larry Choice. You know, he lived on the East Side, born and raised, and so he's seen it all firsthand, and he's seen his, you know, his family go through that, and he's seen his friends grow up and go through that, and so it's, you know, it's a completely different experience, I think, when you're in it and you see the people, the faces coming and going as frequently as you do, and you know, trying to cope with that as another sense of grief, right? Like you know, I think that we don't really think of this, you know, process of like a city rejecting you as something that is like it's not something that's super loud, right? Like it's not shouting at you. It's not saying, get the fuck off my, you know, but it is pricing you out. It's not, you know, give you jobs that you can't really afford to live off of. It's also, you know, property tax. It's like these subtle things that keep just like stacking up on top of each other. And then, you know,
Property tax here is a nightmare. It's like, it's variable. It changes based on the value of your property.
Yeah.
So like people that have been living in the same house for 4 years can't afford the taxes now because they've gone up hundreds of percentages, and that's sad too.
Right.
It's like, oh well, I have to sell my house.
yeah.
You know, I'm selling it for a lot more money, but
No, my kids
don't
don't have
want to
someone
leave their house.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your family doesn't have a place to go to now because you kind of sold it. Right.
Right.
It's like,
I mean, I guess the idea is that the other side of it, which I don't necessarily agree with, but is like, well, now you can sell your house for $1 million or whatever. But like, you still probably have to move somewhere else, a different city, because like the city's now more expensive. So it's like, you can't just like necessarily live in the same city anymore. So,
right.
so it's kind of crazy. Like even the idea of like losing language or losing,
Yeah.
like, I mean, it's happened throughout history.
Yep.
And I almost feel like, and I'm no expert on this, but like, it feels like suburbia, like this is like a continuing of that like trend. Like, oh, we're going to go outside the cities. We're going to destroy nature. We're going to build box homes. Right. And like now it's like moving into cities where it's like, oh, we're going to like just tear down this whole neighborhood and make like box apartments.
Yeah.
That all look exactly. I mean, I did 7 years ago when I was touring places. Look, I did a tour of like, you know, with a realtor to look at different apartments. I'm like, they're all the same freaking apartment. Yeah. Like these are all the same. Like this is the same stuff.
Yeah.
And that was crazy to me. Like, wow, it doesn't really. I mean, they're all the same.
Right. Yeah.
And they would say that like, honestly, all these apartments are pretty much the same. It's about the thing and
the location. Yeah. There's this interesting, because to the point of what both of you said, I want to make sure we say this too, is that there was, I've lived in Austin. I lived in Austin 10 years ago, 2 years when I was in high school. And so my wife and I recently moved back about 3 years ago. And I found, of course, there's been an incredible amount of change culturally that I've seen from then to now. But there was kind of this ongoing conversation about Austin not being a city with a vibrant Black culture, and a lot of young people no matter what industry they're in, whether they're creatives or they're in tech or whatever, it was almost like this life cycle of a maximum of 2 years that they would come here and try it out and then go to another place. And I feel like, you know, we're talking about home equity, right? Where people get to buy a home and sit on it and they're like, well, I can't afford the taxes, I have to sell it. Then everybody creates these apartments, subdivisions and condominiums and stuff in town that people can barely afford to live in. It's like for young people, I found myself in this space too, where it's like, okay, I can't afford a home, I can barely afford the apartment, I'll just deal with the apartment. And then for being in town, you don't necessarily have a culture that feels like a reason why you want to be in town, you know? And I think that a lot of people get disillusioned with that. You work so hard to then feel like, well, am I getting out of this experience what I could get in another place? So it's kind of broken my heart over time to watch people come to a place like Austin that is so beautiful, has such a vibrant, I say diversity of landscape, people, interest, to then get to a place where you're like, well, I don't know. It's just not for me. It's not for me. And to watch people struggle to articulate why is, I think, the thing we just like pinpointed in one way. I'm sure there's many other things people can say, but I've watched that happen, and I have felt that myself, and we have had that conversation, and we've had people who, since we've known each other, you know, we met here, maybe we worked with, and they've gone on to other places to say that same thing. And so as much as Airport Boulevard is about, you know, the characters that are in it, these are experiences that are actually pulled from things we've actually seen, people we actually know. And like you said about Stars Cafe, you know, that restaurant had been around for such a long time. And not, you know, there's entropy, you know, nothing lasts forever. But watching that happen to people, watching that happen to businesses, or watching that happen to culture and happen to like third spaces like Graffiti Park, there was no way to tell our type of story without trying to connect them all. Because we could just make it about people, but then we're like, but it's happening to the homes too in the Austinite. So like we got to talk about that. And it is happening into places like third spaces like Graffiti Park or Stars Cafe, and there's a crazy list of places we could mention.
Yeah, it's fun. It's not fun. There's been actually a few places that we actually are filming at, and then while we're on set, we find out like, oh, this is gonna be shut down.
Yeah.
we were at a coffee shop show filming, and they were like, hey, what are you filming for? And we're just like, oh, we're shooting this movie. And they're like, oh, we'll get it now. It's gonna go in a couple months. Like,
Yeah.
oh, nice.
That's happened 3 or 4 times. And
Yeah.
there's places that like, if we said, which we're not on the pod, like if we told you what places, people will be shocked
Right.
to hear how some of these places are struggling to just maintain,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, it's so expensive, and I mean, it's not an old place, but just in my span of 7 years being in town, like I fell in love with this club, Outer Heaven.
Oh my God, yeah.
I just was like the perfect small kind of space and vibe and environment, and yeah, they got bought up.
Yep.
For a high rise or something like that.
Yeah, they're
Stuff
trying
like that,
to
like I can only imagine, like, you know, living here for 50 years.
Yeah.
It's like, wow. Like, and it's like, I'm sure in most cases, it's like, it's not like, oh, like this place where I grew up going, like it's now changing. It's like, no, it's
gone.
Right.
gone.
It's going
Yeah.
away.
It's like,
Right.
it's not like, oh, now the son owns it, or now like someone
Exactly.
else in the community bought it and they're like kind of rebranding.
Right.
It's not like that. It's like just like antibiotics. Like,
Right.
just like, okay,
Yeah.
we're gonna kill everything.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna like
It's a
fucking
lot
rebuild.
now.
Some thing from
Right.
company from New York is coming in, and
Yeah.
we're gonna, you know, sterilize or like just make. This is how this society is gonna be.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like this. It's gonna attract these kind of people,
Mm.
and we're gonna quadruple the rate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's cruel.
Yeah.
It seems like at the outset, it's like fucking Avatar
Yeah.
story about it. I don't know,
But I know, I think about that a lot.
Yeah.
I think about that a lot.
just the extremity of it. It's
Yeah.
it's
And
violent.
how, and there's a nature to, I mean, this is not like, our film has elements where we are acknowledging these facts, but we are not trying to make any particular statement one way or another. We're just telling the
Cool.
truth as we see it.
Yeah.
But it's interesting in the way that you brought up Avatar. I really do think about that a lot, because I think that was one of the first. That movie came out, I was like in high school.
Yeah,
I
it was
think
like 2008 or 2000.
yeah, that was one of the first films I saw where I was like, oh, these like adult messages I'm catching for the first time. And there's people who make large profit off of this change. And there's a lot of profit and there's a lot of loss, but I feel like there's a lot of like get in there quick money, and then like take what you can and sell off, and then like you make out before the business like fails. Because like you were saying with businesses, let's say for instance, if a place like Stars was around and one person owned it, you're right. It's not like it would happen in other places where the family now owns it, or someone else in the community now buys it, and then they do a rebrand, and it kind of gets to still remain. I've seen it where it's like a place will be here for a couple years, that business will fail, it'll get torn down, another place gets put there, that one will be there for a couple years, gets torn down, and then by the time I come back to that place, it's already on its third iteration.
Yep.
And I'm like, I don't even remember. I don't know the place that was,
Right.
And so I think it's a bit of a short life cycle in town. And there's, like we said, we could chat about that all day. There's so many reasons why, but um, this is a particularly special time to be telling a story about change, and also the characters in the story are kind of doing a coming of age, and not necessarily like that cusp of like becoming an adult, but also that cusp of like, how long can I survive being a creative? And then like maybe I got to go do something else. Maybe I got to go to a new place because this just ain't it. But there's a lot of hope in this story for what can supplement what people are often looking for in creativity, and that's community.
Yeah, so it sounds like the backdrop is what we're talking about. Curious about the human story, without giving too much away, but like it sounds like there's a rich romance.
Yeah.
Well, in the core of it.
Yeah, and I think to that, something that I really love about cinema in general is just like the ability to play with reality in many ways. And I think that there's been so many countless stories of like movies that started as documentaries and then turned into these narratives, or how they interweave documentary style footage with a narrative. And so one of my favorite examples of that is Sarah Gomez's film called One Way or Another, which is a romance based in Cuba, kind of speaking to the post-revolution and the ways in which the community was trying to, re-educate people within, the outskirts of Cuba, and trying to actually, raise the literacy rates. And but interwoven through that is this love story between a teacher and this man. And so, but to me, like I think what this story is trying to do is kind of try to speak to, how does this change affect the people on the granular level, and I think that fundamentally, people in Austin and in many places have been forced into like this impermanence, this feeling of impermanence, right? Which, what Jamal spoke to about, like going to a building and it changes 3 different times. It's torn down, built up, torn down. And that love, then that, you're just having to accept this impermanence of life that in some sense you can't control, right? And I think what we find, especially with Black Austinites, is that like this tearing down and building up, the faces look less and less familiar, and becomes to a point where you're in these spaces where you would typically have assumed Black people to have been at, and they're no longer there. And it's like this question of, well, where did everybody go? Where is this thing that I thought was here? And it becomes almost this like wild goose chase of trying to find like your community, or where people that you recognize are, where people are that are going to. And for example, Outer Heaven, in that area was, a historically Black community for a long time. And, again, it just goes through iterations. It becomes Outer Heaven, which becomes another amazing haven, and then now, as we know now, it doesn't exist anymore. And so now we're going through that iteration of like, okay, well, where are people going, right? And so, this story is in that will they, won't they. It's just trying to find your person. It's trying to find the people, and how do you live in a place, as it changes and the faces are changing, and how do you hold on to these feelings? How do you hold on to these emotions? Or do you just accept where you are? Do you let it go? Do you accept the impermanence of life? And, where do you go from there, right? And so it's, I think the characters are trying to find their way in this unpredictable world. And, in doing so, they find themselves in situations or predicaments where it's like, how the did I get here? What is this place? I thought this was this, and now it's this.
Yeah.
What? Why do I not feel connected to these people in this moment? And how do these emotions reflect the city at large? So yeah.
Cool. You speak about it with such eloquence, and that's awesome. I'm excited to see more. What I want to talk about craft. I want to talk about Seed and Spark. I want to talk about all this stuff. But where are you guys in the post production or production?
So we have one last, like, I think, final production schedule left to shoot, and then I have me and two other people, we're editing this project together, and so we're kind of doing it as we go. I think what's been fun about that is just the way that the edit has kind of just been informing us as we kind of go along the process. We've been shooting this for I've been shooting this for about 4 years. Jamal and I have been shooting scenes for about a year and a half, and so we just have this large swath of footage where we're just kind of playing with the form, I guess.
Yeah.
And so it's been an interesting process, tumultuous for sure, but it's definitely been an interesting way of like crafting a story, because I think that it's growing every day. The city changes of Austin, and so in some sense our story also alters, right? And so it's us trying to align everything together in a way that's like, this is the story, this is the moment, this is how we feel. And trying to find the best way to present that has been a challenge, but it's been a fun challenge to just kind of like bounce ideas off everybody.
Look, these films are like gauntlets.
Yeah.
They're marathons.
Yeah.
I call it like, you have to have like urgent zen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no other way to have like peace about it if you don't
Right.
because you have to be really tenacious at the same time that you have to just embrace flow. Like what's gonna happen is what's gonna happen. And I don't want it to be lost on that question, because he kind of I don't think you skirted this, but he wrote a fantastic script.
Yeah.
What we had to start with was fantastic. And with each thing that has, I don't want to say changed, but it has evolved, and so has the intention, which with every single choice that we've made. And so for it to have taken a year and a half nearly to shoot, I think people might be like, wow, that took, it takes a long time. But I think that a story with this amount of intention and trying to manage this many perspectives on top of the narrative, the foundational narrative that he wrote and is directing. I'm gonna put all his titles out there, and is producing to a degree. I'm also one of the producers. We have a fantastic team,
Yeah.
but over time it has become more focused, I think, and its specificity is, I think, what people are going to really attach to, because at the same time that, like you talked about Manhattan, that feels like such a great compliment, not only just because it's like, a fantastic film, but you see, you recognize the style, and that wasn't even necessarily one of our references, which we have like a ton of film references, but it, that communicates to me that you saw Austin, but you saw just a city at large, and you could tell that it was a character, because in the nature of, one of the things that we developed into was shooting in black and white. That strips away a lot of, for lack of a better word, distraction. We have to hone in on the emotional state on every single character in every single space. And it kind of pulls it into a more timeless understanding of like, this has happened in the past, it's happening now, it'll happen in the future. And I think over time, all we've done is gotten sharper on the intention of the story. And so when we do finish this last block of shooting, we're going to be very happy that we've like spent the amount of time we did making this story just right. But I think also, this is a project that I've worked on other projects. Alejandro's worked on other projects, but I don't know that I felt this proud of a piece of work yet. And this one I really feel like is going to be a staple of films that come out of Austin and Texas at large.
Yeah. No, I think I love black and white also. And with the music, I want to talk about music as well, but just the vibe I got, I'm like, this is cool. Like, but I think you're right. Black and white is it's such a, it's almost underutilized, I think, these days, but it's such a special medium. Like,
Yeah.
it's such a special style
Yeah.
that you're right. It allows you to focus, but also it allows you to see something familiar in a different way. Like seeing the buildings and what you guys put together in black and white. You're right. It doesn't feel like the city I walk through. It takes me into another dreamscape with the music
Yeah.
as well. And I think the amazing thing about film is like if you do it well, you can create a dream experience for someone else, and like you can actually craft an exact dream for someone to experience.
Yeah.
And that, I think, black and white really lends itself to that, especially and with the jazz soundtrack as well. It marries with quite well,
Yeah.
black and white.
Yeah. I mean, I think black and white has, so much texture to it, right? Of just like, there's like a rigidness to it that I feel like makes you more focused to it. The details are much more present than I think color does. I think it's very easy to get lost in the color space, specifically when trying to develop a project and trying to understand like how the color theory works within the story. And I think when I was in pre-production for this, when we were kind of bouncing ideas off of each other, just trying to figure out what the visual color of the story was going to be, it was, we kept talking about blues and this like melancholy colors, but nothing was like telling the story, right? And I feel like we were never, I think the problem was that I was never able to pull away from, the story and actually observe the place itself. And I think, when you strip everything of the color, you strip it of the beauty that color provides, you are forced to kind of like binarily look at this thing and say like, okay, like what is wrong? Why is this off? And so that hyperfixation or that focus on the emotional story, I think, is heightened as a result. And jazz just becomes the perfect, I think, accent to it in the sense that, jazz is so expressive and at its core, it's just, it's just raw feeling. It's just subjectivity at its heightened, state. And it's just people pressing buttons at its core, right? Where it's like, it's unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen. And I think having that element of the story, be the undercurrent of, the color, right? That would be the de facto color of this is how we invoke these feelings out of you that you would have thought color would have done. And so, and on top of that, jazz is the ultimate protest music, right? It started in the Black Renaissance 1920s in Harlem, I believe is the Harlem Renaissance, right? But being able to draw that connection, right, I think is also key because at that time, at the height of the creation of jazz music, it is Black people trying to call out, and it is them, shouting and them screaming, and it's heard in the trumpets, it's heard in the piano, it's heard in the drums, it's heard in the saxophone. And if you listen closely enough, like you can feel exactly what they're feeling. And I think that those emotions, it carries through all of us, and I think that it is in everybody's story. And Austin being the capital of live music, as it says, there is such a vibrant jazz culture here, and it's genuinely not talked about. Like, and if you go to these places, if you go to the Continental on a Sunday, I'm sorry, if you go to Continental on a Monday night and you go catch Michael Hale at 11 p.m., it's like you're gonna enter this world that you never thought existed, and it's transformative in that sense. And that synergy is Austin too, right? Like all of these things kind of flow through each other. And so it's for us it's literally just about like trying to just capture even like just small slivers of this thing. I think that's what I love Slacker so much, because it's just rich Richard Linklater just like grabbing these like strands of stories that exist in this like wild city,
Yeah.
and he's weaving this thing that, you know, is his context.
Right.
And I think that, you know, my context of Austin has been this trying to find people that look like me and then have experiences like me in places that I want to be in. And those places have been in the jazz halls in the middle of the night. It's been at, you know, art galleries. It's been at art shows. It's been in the movie theaters. It's been in places where art is live and vibrant. And, you know, that's just been what we've been trying to capture, you know, and trying to tell that story in a way that feels just to the people that also experience that.
That's so cool. Yeah. Yeah. I'll be honest. I got watching the teaser with the black and white and the jazz, because I don't really I associate jazz with New York.
Mm-hmm.
Just naturally. Like, I think of jazz, I think of New York.
Yeah.
So it jarred me in a good way. Like, all right, cool. This I like interested.
Mm-hmm.
Just that juxtaposition, because I don't associate Austin with that. But
Yeah.
clearly there's more to be learned. Right.
But it's
Monday nights at the Continental.
Monday
That's
nights
what
Continental.
I'm like, remember that.
Yeah, or Sunday at Sunday nights 9 to 11 Bee's Knees, I think.
Cool.
No, not Bee's Knees.
Is
B
it
King, B King, King B,
Oh, King B.
King
Yeah,
B,
I know
yeah,
that.
King
Okay.
B, King B. Wow, we got there.
Well, I love it. I love the, you know, one cool thing about Austin is like I do constantly find pockets of like, oh, this is, I didn't know this existed.
Yeah,
But like, there's a lot of people here.
Yeah.
Clearly, a lot of people know the little pockets of culture across the spectrum.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, it is a very like dynamic city if you know where to go, or
Yeah.
you know, there's a lot actually going on, and it's not a mega city,
Mm-mm.
but there are lots of pockets of unique culture that
Yeah.
I think you know, it's important
And there's
to protect.
and there's so much history, you know, like there's so many people
Yeah.
that have come through Austin that you just don't know about, and it's like
Mhm.
when you start to peel back those layers, it's like, man, why aren't we talking about this? You know,
Yeah.
like, you know,
It's a fascinating city.
It is. It really is. And you know, yeah, it's just being able to preserve, like, again, because people come here with no context. You know, like I came here with no context,
Right.
And so it's just trying to make your way or trying to understand what happened. You know, what am I missing? You know, and you start to just peel back those onion layers. It's like, you know, why are you know you know, how do we keep this alive? How do we preserve the culture here? You know?
Yeah,
And
the
so,
magic.
you know, and oral storytelling has been, you know, part of all of our histories, right? And you know, being able to just to tell the story in some capacity, right? Like it doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to be this magnum opus, but it has to be said. And I think that at its core is just the point, right? It's just like it just has to be said that this is how it is, or this is the story, you know. And we all have our responsibility of story in some sense, to tell our family story or to tell our, you know, story of our first love, whatever. But you know, we all have a duty to storytelling. I think.
Right.
So
I agree. Well, you guys are keeping up the fight. How are you guys doing music? Are you guys like, because you have, well, the score I heard in the teaser is great, but
Yeah.
I'm just curious if you guys are working
So
on.
we have so it's an interesting process. There's two composers, one that has provided a piano piece and another a full orchestral piece. But outside of those, we're even those performances too. We're trying to do all live performances. So like everything that is played in the film was performed live, and it was actually recorded live, because
Nice.
I wanted to have this element of like, you know, at any given moment you're like back in this night jazz club.
Yeah,
you know,
real,
this-
realistic sound.
yeah, and just, you know, trying to interweave that basement jazz house narrative into the story, just like that also exists. It's just, you know, this pervasive pulse, right? That just like it still exists, you know, just kind of like, you know, it's like it's a tapeworm, you know, in that sense, just keeps growing. So.
Yeah. Good tip.
A good tapeworm, good tapeworm.
Well, it's amazing. I mean, the vibe you create has such soul, and with the music and the visuals and the office character element. So I'm excited to see more. I recently did a Kickstarter. You guys did a Seed and Spark. So Seed and Spark is crowdfunding for film specifically. Is that correct?
Yeah.
What's your experience been on there?
Well, I'll say that when we discovered how intentional this film was going to be, we almost wanted to. I mean, of course, you need funding, right? And we figured
Films cost money, folks.
they cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
It costs a lot of money.
bit.
Just in
And the creators often are the last to get paid.
yeah,
Cameras are expensive. People are expensive. How
yeah,
are you guys?
yeah.
Paid.
Yeah. That's why you really have to, want to tell the story you're telling. You have to almost feel like you have to like get it out. But yeah, Seed and Spark is a fantastic platform. Crowdfunds exclusively for narrative projects, media projects. So it has to be like a film or episodic or animation or something like that. And we knew that when it came time to make this story, that we didn't want it to just be us incubating or getting money from just like investors and incubating on it, and then we just hit the scene. We actually knew that the community deserves to know about this film. And so we wanted to involve people from the very beginning. And the easy way to do that was to crowdfund, and not just for the sake of like gathering funds, although that was fantastic. Just to have it on people's minds. I get stopped all the time from people, whether or not they knew about crowdfunding or not. They're like, "Hey, you doing that? How, people who I've never met, they're like, you doing that film, right? So how is that going?" And that feels really good, because that was like 6-7 months ago when we first started talking about that. And then when we launched the campaign, we had this influx of support, whether or not it was through money. I've had people who own like venues in town who are like, "Hey, listen, when it's time for the premiere, just call me. Like, you guys can use my space." Even things like that. And on the east side of Boston. So I'm like, this is what we wanted. We wanted people to feel like this film represented them and that they wanted to be a part of it in some way. Seed and Spark is a fantastic platform with great communication and a lot of support and fantastic opportunities to customize. And there's not any room for misinterpretation of the project if you put that effort in to put it out there and present it to the audience as you want to. It was not easy. Crowdfunding isn't an easy thing to do, but it is incredibly rewarding because there are these little victories every step of the way. And that's whether or not you get the funding. We were blessed enough to get it, but I've known many people who have tried and attempted, and maybe they didn't get the funding, but they got something else that they needed that actually helped them complete their project. So it's a fantastic place to centralize all of the interest that you can generate to kind of help you execute the goal. And I think, yes, you want to create a crowdfunding campaign to secure the funds, but you quickly find out that like, if you don't get the funds, you have to kind of have a mind of like, what else am I going to get out of this experience that's going to make my project successful? Like, if we had just been focused on the crowdfunding donations that we would get from people, it would have made, I don't think that's the right focus for our film and for the project at large. We were already shooting it, when we got to that place. So it made it feel like all this is just icing. And we kept adding and kept, showing people things. And I think that kept the ball rolling too.
Yeah, a big reason why I did the Kickstarter was to engage audience. I mean, more so than the money. And money is important as well. But just tapping into starting a community, basically. And that's been very rewarding, just communicating with people that are, because, I have a lot of friends, they're not necessarily into what I'm making, and they're into it because I'm into it.
Yeah.
They're supportive, but like, I'm like, I need to find people that, because I know I'm making stuff for someone that really wants to see this.
Yes.
They just don't know that I exist. I don't know that where they are. It's about trying to find the people that are really into, and then that's like, for me, like a little victory along the way is like, oh, this person's like really into this artwork. Like, they want this really badly. Like now I'm motivated. Like, okay, now now I gotta deliver. Like,
Yeah.
I found one of my people. Like, that's so cool. Like, how did that happen? And Kickstarter, for me, I've sure seen Spark, these little communities where it's like, they're almost like social media networks.
Yeah.
In a way. Because like people that are in there, you know, every day, checking out projects, communicating, messaging, you know, I think it's, yeah, like you were saying, like it's way more than like just raising money. It's like it's a dialogue, it's a lot of work. It's
Yeah.
like, you know, it's good work, but you gotta stay on. It's not like, oh, I made the page. Build it and they will come.
No. I mean, it's like yes and no, because let's say if you build it on a platform like Kickstarter, like Seed and Spark, the people, what you just said was kind of perfect. It is like its own social media platform for people who are making films. And so you go on there, and even before we started ours, I just combed through what other films people were doing, and you find some amazing stuff coming from, I mean, there's things on there from all around the world, but like all across the country, and you can narrow it down to even see what's in Texas or in your genre or in your style. And it's so easy to connect with people. It's like a LinkedIn almost, but for filmmakers who are crowdfunding. And the building community, it's a really cool feeling, because like there's some person we're in Austin, there's some person in Nebraska or BC or any corner of this country who has been, maybe they've dreamed of seeing a film like this, that, you know, we're able to put it in a place where they can find it and to know about it. And I've combing through it, I was like, oh man, I really wanted, like I wanted to see a Black Texas cowboy story. In my mind, you know, in my mind, I've been like, yeah, I want to see that. And there have been films that have kind of like done that, whether it's like, you know, period pieces or whatever. But
I haven't really seen that.
I haven't seen it in a there's things on like streamers, you know, where it's like done with like a major large production, and sometimes sometimes you just crave like a little indie, you know, like something with like some reality. I guess that those things, they're real, but it's like they're made for entertainment. I kind of want to see some things that just feel like they're authentic to the people who are making them. And I sure enough found like a handful on Seed and Spark, and I was like, wow, that's really cool. And so I have, you know, there's a profile for our film, but my personal one is just save, because I want to be a part of these films and their journeys, and I've pledged to a few. So I think platforms like those create an opportunity for people to like galvanize and just, you know, be fans. Kind of like oh my gosh, what's the name of the platform where everybody saves their favorite films? Letterboxd. Exactly. Like just like that, you get to go to someone's page and be like, oh, they love this film, I love this film, and you can know just a little bit about people, and it starts conversations. So I think Seed and Spark should be thrown up there with the Instagrams and the Letterboxd, as far as how it can help people find each other. Yeah, how you can find your community.
And that's the key, because everyone's on the internet somewhere. It's about how do we find the right people, connect to the right people, you know, that are overlapping in interest, I guess.
For sure.
Yeah, it's almost like accountability partners too, you know, and the people that are contributing to it. It's like, you know, they believe in you and they believe in the thing. And so it's like, you know, we have the relationship now where it's like, I got to deliver. I love you. I got to deliver on this.
Just money. Like, you like, you know, I have all these backers for my graphic novel. I have some for you, by the way.
Oh, that's
cute. Yeah. But just like, it's taking me forever to like package them and everything. But like, partly because I'm doing it kind of slowly, because I'm in some way and like savoring it, I guess, or like just making sure it's right. Like, even just how I tape it, you know, I'm like folding the tape to tape the comics together so that's easy to untape, you know, stuff like that. And I'm like, this is making me take a long ass time, but you know, I don't know, it's like special.
It matters. It matters because people, that's like the first piece of the story that we get before we open the page. It's like, how are we going to receive this, you know? And it just shows intention and care. And that's that's what we hope to get at,
Yeah.
with our project. So it's great. First of all, I can't wait
Yeah.
to read the graphic novel.
Yeah,
But
I got photos right now.
I think that when I don't know, presentation matters.
Yeah, and there's also nothing like receiving a package you've been waiting for,
Yeah.
and it's super hard to open.
Yeah, and you're like, okay,
It's
now
like-
you're mad.
And, yeah,
Yeah, and it's
so like
it's
I'm
still
trying to
some of
make
the
it pretty easy but still secure.
yeah.
Yeah. So can each of you. So it's one story, 3 books.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's 1, 2, 3.
Oh.
Yeah,
well, that's so cool, actually. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Whoa. Yeah, this is so sick. Oh, so there's 3. Oh, okay.
It's
I'm
3
seeing it.
chapters,
I'm
yeah.
seeing it.
We're gonna-
chapter 1, 2, 3.
We're like working on a combined version.
Okay.
So that'll probably be another campaign. So like a sort of trade.
Oh, bro, I'm into this. I'm excited.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
excited.
you guys enjoy those.
Thank you.
But yeah, like, well, because this started as a screenplay.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just saw an avenue to make it into a graphic novel first.
Dude.
Just a little quicker route, a little more control over that.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so that's how this came about. But yeah.
But still plans to make it into a movie
Yeah.
or a series or.
Yeah, we are like actively working on trying to find the right partners.
So
Yeah.
They're kind of like storyboards.
Right. Exactly.
That's what I was thinking.
Right,
It's
yeah.
already the roadmap. This is just the
Yeah.
next step to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So it's like I mean, from a business side, I feel like it was smart in terms of like, okay, we're building IP and
Mhm.
we're also like as a director, I'm able to like it's like a draft. Like,
Yeah.
the visual sense, it's like, okay, like because this impacted the script. Like,
Mhm.
we sort of it's like another way to write it.
Right.
Let's draw it now.
Yeah.
We found a great artist. It's all hand drawn, but it's been nice to spend all this time on it and like continue to make it better and like actually see some things and adjust or the artist like brought tons to the table too. So,
Yeah.
oh, like that's going in the movie.
That's great that, but that meant that your vision was strong enough, that someone else they saw it, when it was like, I'm not sure what you submitted, but like, let's say if it was just like the script,
It was a screenplay, yeah.
they're like, oh, I know what this feels like, or I think I know what this feels like.
Mhm.
And then, you receive it and you're like, yeah, you got it. Like it confirms that.
Mhm.
But with each iteration, I just feel like you will have lived with each one of these scenes
Yeah.
with long enough that that'll make you a really efficient, like, storyteller, whether it's combined, whether you condense it, whether it's a short or episodic or film or whatever. I think, I don't know. I almost feel like this is pre-production. Like this is what we did in a sense, but it was up here,
Right.
And so I think, excellent work, man. I knew about your story. I had no idea you already had them finished and it was like
Yeah.
3 chapters done.
No, yeah.
Wow.
We're writing the sequel, the next 3.
Oh, hi, Jack.
Oh man.
Yeah, so this is
Cool.
volume 1.
Nice.
Chapter 1, 2, 3. And then we're working on we actually with Gabor, my story partner, producing partner, we mapped out like volume 2 and volume 3, which would end the whole story.
Mm.
But this stands alone.
Amazing.
So yeah, but it's been fun. But yeah, I think I want to look into Seed and Spark. Possibly to do like a short or a scene from this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that might be a fun way to add another part to the package.
Yeah. That's another thing. I'm glad you said that because I want to bring that up too. I mentioned that we were shooting before we started Seed and Spark campaign. What made a huge difference, I feel, was that we had things to show people. Like we had a proof of concept
Yeah.
that people were like, oh, that's cool. Like, it's like people didn't have to give to then wait months to then get the ROI. Like we gave them
100%.
something already. And I think, whether you're able to do that or not, I think that you have this, like this can be like the investment that people make, and you get to that point, it's just going to be that much more for people to hold on to because they trust that the vision is clear that helps people feel like it's going to be executed, you know? And I keep looking at this, bro. I'm so excited to get into it. Like I read a lot of graphic novels like growing up, and I had no idea that this was as fleshed out as it was.
Thanks.
I'm excited to hear
We
about
actually
volumes 2 and
finished
3.
the first 2 before we did the Kickstarter.
Nice.
So we were able to show.
Nice.
We already finished 1 and
Yeah.
2.
Mm-hmm.
We need finishing funds to finish 3 and to deliver and print and everything. So we were, because I really was like, I think like those campaigns where you have nothing
Mm-hmm.
only work if you are already like a known
Right.
quantity.
Yep.
Yeah.
You are, have 100,000 followers.
Mhm.
And you've done this before, and people were like, "He's legit." I've never done this before.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely didn't want to go on Kickstarter and be like, "I have the script,
Yeah.
and it's really cool,
Yeah.
and here's the story, and like we're gonna find artists,
Yeah.
and like it's gonna be a year
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
or more."
It's a tough sell.
Yeah.
Even people who really like love you and are like fans of what you've done are also like, it's not that they doubt. They say great job, and it's kind of like a we'll see kind of thing.
Exactly.
You know, and to dispel doubt, like to just do work on the front end, it just makes it so much easier on you.
And they used
them.
a couple pages. They used a few pages.
Yeah.
Show like, okay, this is the team. This is what we're doing. At least you'd be able to show 4, 5, 6 pages of a comic.
Mm-hmm.
I think goes a long way. And that's like the general advice as well. I'm not just making it up, but
You crushed it.
check Reddit. All saying the same thing.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
But yeah. So I'm gonna look into Season Spark, and I love that the whole concept behind it, and just connect with people, because I think the idea. I love taking agency in your own work, because like I meet a lot of people, and you see them all over the place, like waiting. They're waiting
Mm-hmm.
for someone to come and be like, you know what?
You.
You have a good look. You must have a good story.
Mhm.
I want to connect you with Warner Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna make your. It doesn't happen. It's not gonna happen.
No.
Like, own your stuff. Make it however you can. You guys exemplify. You have cameras. We all have cameras. I don't know what camera you guys are using, but you shoot. Look, maybe it takes us a couple years. We're gonna just start doing the work.
Yeah.
And then then we have something to show for Season Spark, and then we just build an audience, and pretty soon here you guys are gonna be premiering it somewhere.
Mhm.
And like, I mean, it's kind of cliche, but like, just fucking do it. And it takes a lot of work, and try to enjoy it. But if you're just sitting there like, oh, I wrote a script, and like someday someone will come, and it's not gonna happen.
Mm-hmm. No, it like anything else, you like it really is like anything else in life. You want a job, you kind of already have to be doing it, to show someone that their investment in you is going to be worth it. But I would even argue that like looking for investment in you is not necessarily what you should be after either. You should do it because you really want to, you really care about it. That's what people, that's what I found like people have latched onto. Like that's what I latched onto, especially when I read Alejandro's script. I felt like there was such a serious need to tell this story, not in my own belief, but in his belief. And, people join on because of that. And then each time we shoot something, we're like, oh my God, this thing that we have, it feels like we're telling everybody about it, but it feels like a secret that there's so much to be uncovered in this story that I think people are going to really fall in love with. And that all started because he did what he was supposed to do with what art he wanted to put out. And he just gathered this team. Like I could sit here and act like it was mine, but it's his. And I came on board like other very talented performers, and we got grips and electric and camera and hair and makeup. And, that's just how production goes. But everybody has been like, bro, this style is really cool. I really want to be a part of this. It's high art. It's universal, I feel like. And for it to be a film, this I want to make sure to say. because the three leads in this film are all they are Black characters. So myself, I am one of the leads. I play Xavier. Our good friend Tolawani, she plays a character named Destiny. And then a very popular local DJ here in Austin named Kenny Duet plays a character in the film named Kenny. And
Some people you just
Kenny as himself.
he's very like
Kenny as himself.
yeah, he's like such a if you know Kenny, you know he's such a. There's only one experience of this dude, and he's so great and so like energetic and positive and he just throws vibe everywhere, like left and right. That it would feel strange to name that character anything else.
Right.
I feel like
when you meet Kenny, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's like when you meet him, oh, that's Kenny.
oh you're like, oh that's him.
Oh, and he's like, yeah, you're gonna meet Kenny. Kenny, you'll see.
yeah.
You'll see every time. But he's great, and he brings that energy that everyone does, right? It's just everyone brings their own unique traits to a story. And it's just interesting to see the way that these sparks interact with each other. And I think that, I think for me, I think for every person that like writes or directs anything, there's like this ego that's involved there, where it's like, it's mine, it's precious, you can't touch it, because I envision it this way. But, in a lot of cases, it's like, you can't make people do things that they've never done before in a lot of respects. And it's like, why try to force them into a box when you can accentuate their features and show people who they really are, let them express themselves as they do. And that can be the story. And I think, Cassavetes figured that out, obviously. But Shadows is such an incredible example of just giving actors the room to act and be and exist. And so much of the story has been trying to also hone in on that element of it, where it's like, this is fiction, nonfiction in a sense that like we are telling a fictional story about real people in real space. And so in that real space, these real people have to act a certain way and let them exist as they do versus, and let's throw situations at them and let's alter their course. Let's alter their trajectory and let that be the story.
Yeah.
Because the story will tell itself at that point. So but yeah, these guys are incredible actors and, incredibly resilient to the nonsense that I do. But
it's great. I mean, you guys are touching on like the magic, right? You got a vision, you got a script, but then you start building the troupe, and then everyone brings in their own little spice.
Yeah,
in an ideal situation, everyone's like around a common vision, but like, here's how I can help this common vision with my own special flavor.
Yeah.
And that's the cool thing about this kind of creative work with the team. You can plan, and you should, and then there's space to play, and then something unexpected happens, and so it's super cool. I'm really excited to see what you guys are cooking up. How can people like see it or follow you guys? And it's not out yet, but Instagram. What's the best way for people to find you?
Airport BLVD film at Instagram.
Yeah. At Instagram, www.airportboulevardfilm. Like you said, Boulevard spelled abbreviated BLVD.com. We do have a Seed and Spark page, which you can find linked both on the website and on the Instagram to see a full fleshed out description of our intention and the character descriptions and the purpose. Like there's a lot of work that we did on Seed and Spark that we think is so valuable. So we do want to provide people the opportunity if they want to dig a little deeper there. And either there, you can, follow the film, or you can follow on Instagram. And we're constantly updating it with progress and how we're doing and cool things. There's so I feel like we've been really tame. There's so much that we have not put in front of people yet, that I think we're climbing this crescendo as we, get ready to do this last block of shooting on telling people some of the coolest things that we've been able to accomplish.
Cool. Well, I'll put some information on the YouTube link and description, and yeah, well, thanks guys it's been a lot of fun. I think I will do it again down the road.
Yeah.
When it's finished, whatever. But you guys like seem like really in touch with film culture and history and stuff. So maybe we'll go see a movie or something.
Let's do it.
At AFF.
Let's do it, Scott.
Dude,
Right.
yeah.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Yeah, this was great. Yeah.
Welcome to the Wolfpack.
Thank you.
Is there like a sign or anything we gotta do?
You gotta do this. Oh.
in
Yeah.
in the
I love
library.
it. I love this.
I know.
I know.
I know. Library, like,
I know.
That's how
right?
you get kicked out.
yeah, she's looking at me.